Okay, so I think we are live. We are. Let me do something here. Right. I'm just going to send a quick little note to Rob, invite him on, and see if this works. So technical difficulties, and this is what you need to do. You need to kind of roll with the punches. That's where it goes. I'm just going to let Rob know. And I'm going to see if he pops on here so we can do this together. And I know there's some people watching on Facebook right now, so just want to welcome everybody. And I know there's some, Rob's going to jump on the Zoom with me, and hopefully I can get him in there. And again, you know, these are some of the things that you have to roll with. And again, if you can hear me loud and clear on Facebook, Daniel, what's up, buddy? So I'm going to kind of go back and forth and have everyone on here so I can see everything that's going on. So please say hi and where you're coming in from. I'm going to wait for Rob to jump on again. And this is going to be an awesome, awesome interview once I get everything up and going. And I think he is here. Let me see. Attendees. There he is. More. I want to promote him to panelist. So, yes. Rob, did we do it? I think we did it. Let's see.
Okay, can you hear me?
I think we did it, Rob.
Oh my gosh.
I think we did it.
Nice work. Way to jump to plan B and save the day.
Yeah, so what I mean, literally, I figured, and this is honest to God, this is the first time I've ever done this. So we're streaming Zoom through to Facebook. So we're not going to be able to really see what's going on. So you can say hi. I can kind of see sort of what's going on. There's kind of a delay. It's kind of really weird, but in like the best way possible. So people are jumping on. There's people on here. So again, let's and the funny thing was when you said, I think you're asking me to share my story. So I'm just going to do that. That's exactly what I was asking you. So intuitively, you were right on point. So let's rewind the tape now that we are clear. Everyone can hear and see us. So just a little bit about you before network marketing, how you got introduced to it, and then I want to do a little bit of a back and forth review Q&A, because honestly, the conversation that you and I had earlier this morning, I took so much away from just as another male network marketer and going through different changes and things that we need to do. But first, just introduce yourself to my network, and then we can kind of take it from there.
Yeah, well, first of all, thanks for having me. I appreciate the opportunity. So yeah, my name is Rob Leininger. I'm a physician assistant. I went back to school later in life, about 30 years old, decided what the heck, might as well get a real job. Went to get a pre-med degree, PA school. I knew I wanted to do orthopedic surgery, sports medicine. Those had always been sort of fascinations of mine. So that was the sort of the track that I took. This was really a dream job for me. Not just the aspect of setting a goal and reaching it, but it was something that I just knew I was going to be doing for the rest of my career. That's how much I wanted it. I got into the field, really loved medicine. There's a lot of challenges in medicine. Schedule is one, there's a lot of stress for sure, depending on what you're doing, call, things like that. But ultimately loved the work, was not looking for anything else at all. I was very happy. That said, my wife had been in network marketing. I'd watched her in a couple different companies before the one we're currently in. She had success. She'd always gone to the top of the pay plan. Always had done a very good job, was very successful within these other companies, but they weren't really ever anything that I could jump on board. She had done cosmetics, skincare type stuff, some sheets and towels and bedding, some jewelry. she always wanted me to be involved, but you know how it goes. If you're not passionate about something, you're never going to be able to wrap your head around it. You're never going to be able to sell it. Those weren't things that I was interested in. This latest iteration was one that I actually saw, you know, a lot of opportunity for. So one of the things that had frustrated me in my medical career was that I felt like we were constantly responding to things, right? So someone comes in, they have a set of symptoms, you treat their symptoms as they are today. There wasn't a whole lot of emphasis on prevention, I didn't feel like. And that was really sort of the reason I went into medicine in the first place, was to get people healthier, to help them to live a healthy life, make good choices. And what I realized was that most people either didn't have that knowledge, or a lot of people, when you tried to give to them, weren't that interested. So it was a challenging population, to say the least. When our current opportunity came up, I was definitely very hesitant because of my background, sports medicine. I knew a lot about supplements, nutrition. You know, that was really where I had spent a great portion of my life as an athlete, and also just someone who was very interested in science and the literature. So this felt like much better fit for me, although it still took me a while to get committed. I kind of acted as a support role for my wife for a very long time. It took me some time essentially to grow into my role as a team leader myself, and having my own team, communicating with my team, you know, leading effectively, and basically just figuring this out from the ground up, because it was not my background whatsoever. But I truly believe with this, as with anything else I've set my mind to in life, and not just myself, but everybody, if you commit to something and you decide that you're going to make it a goal to achieve something, then there's nothing that stops you but you. So I didn't let anything stop me, and I've been on a personal development mission, a growth mission, for about the last 5 years, trying to figure out ways to better myself, to figure out what those deficiencies are and to correct them. And it's all led to where we are today. We have a multi-million-dollar business. We have time freedom. We have financial freedom. We can do our business from anywhere. We homeschool our kids. We live in Montana. I mean, it's just a really idyllic life, something that we dreamed about for years. We manifested it, and it has come to fruition, which is another key takeaway for people. If you believe in it and if you dream it, no dream is too big, as long as you're willing to do the hard work to get to the end result.
Absolutely. And network marketing is really easy. It was really easy to build a multi seven-figure business, wasn't it, Rob? It was so easy. You know, it was funny. We had such a great conversation on the bus ride to dinner, and you know, it was a good 25-30 minute ride to dinner, and we were just jamming the entire ride. And you know, obviously we talked a lot about LinkedIn, and obviously you were on your way to go surfing with Laird Hamilton shortly after that, so we had to delay our conversation about a week or so. But even from the get-go, even before we started working together, you know, obviously you're highly successful. Your wife is an incredible, inspiring woman to other females, and obviously you're an inspiring male figure for all the husbands out there. And the one thing that we were doing our session today, and I intuitively just took it in a separate direction, where you and I were just kind of having like a man-to-man conversation, because it actually came back to one of our mutual mentor, Chris Harder's podcast that he did the other week. And it was talking about, him and Lori were talking about, you know, spousal support and letting someone know, you know, because again, your wife is the one, you know, you were a physician assistant. You love how the body works. You love helping other people. And then you had your wife, who was just this person that just, you know, wanted to grow her own business for home, which she did multiple times over. And then you found, you know, your latest venture the last 5 years, and you guys are not going anywhere. It's a legacy company. You guys are in the top 5 to 10 of the entire company, but also tops in the industry. There was a big turning point for you, because what we talked about earlier today was the fact that sometimes it's hard for the spouse to get on board. You know, you see the husband or the wife having such massive success.
Mm.
And we talked about a story today, and you obviously related to it, but share with the audience a little bit of the personal journey that you had to go on. Seeing your wife do what she's doing, letting her know, listen, honey, you don't have to be a physician assistant anymore. You can come home. We can do this together. Talk about the transition, identity-wise, that was for you when that initially came about compared to where you stand now today with her.
Well, yeah, it's a great question, and I'll try to address as much as I can. Obviously, it's every guy's dream to have a sugar mama, right? And that's essentially what happened to me. My wife, she had a goal of retiring me, and it wasn't, like a show-off type of goal. It was, she realized how hard I was working, and I wasn't around a lot. When I was tired, I was cranky. She was getting the rest of me, not the best of me, so to speak. And so, even just things like travel. I mean, my wife and my kids would go to Hawaii for 2 weeks, and I would have to stay home. I couldn't get the time off work. Even though I had earned the hours, I couldn't physically take the time off for work because we were so busy, and it would put a hardship on, the hospital or on my partners if I was to try and take off. So, you got to be careful what you wish for. All of a sudden, she has this offer out, like, we've replaced the income, we've paid off your student loan debts. At this point, you don't have to go to work there anymore. You can stay home and you can help me. And it sounded great, right? So where do I sign up? So I did. Got a lot of flack from all the people I worked with. Everybody told me I'd come crawling back from my job. And it was the biggest mistake I was ever going to make. And, I had my own doubts as well, to be perfectly honest, whether it was the right decision. But I knew deep down that I could always come back to medicine and I could always find a job as a PA. So I left, retired essentially. Didn't really know that it was going to be a retirement. Thought maybe I'd just take some time off and see how it went. But yeah, I mean, it seems like a dream. But a little ways into it, you start to realize that everything you've worked so hard for now is behind you. And there's this whole new world opening up and lots of opportunities. But at the same time, basically everything that has been changed, and sort of the rug has been swept out from underneath you. And so there were definitely some, I would say, darker moments. It seems like it's the best possible thing that could happen to someone. And ultimately now I realize that it was, but I didn't really know how to handle the changes. And sure, there were tons of things I liked. I mean, being able to be home, being able to spend time with my family, being the person who was homeschooling my children, teaching them my values, teaching them, the interesting things about life as I see them. These were all great things. Being able to travel with them to Hawaii, all that good stuff, have more time for my hobbies. But sometimes time can be a little bit of a curse as well. I think that when you have something in front of you and you're always working towards a goal, your free time means more to you, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So all of a sudden, when you have a lot of free time, those types of things don't mean as much to you. They're not as valuable. And so there were just a lot of different small things that I went through. Bless my wife. She's always been a very supportive person, and she's always stood by me while I figured some of these out. And I definitely tried to do the baby steps thing and grow my own network marketing business, hit or miss in the beginning, I would say. But it's a learning process. And again, I think if you commit to something, you can learn anything. But it's a bit emasculating to go from being the macho guy in this very type A alpha personality driven field of medicine to, basically doing the laundry and cooking dinner and going grocery shopping. And so it was definitely a big role reversal switch up that left me probably with as many questions as it did answers for a while.
Wow. And that's such a huge takeaway, Rob, just because just to feel demasculated and to understand that this business requires so much support, whether you're going to do the business or not. It requires so much support. And you and I were talking about the concept of biologically how men are the hunters and the women are the gatherers. And, we're there. We want to figure out the problem, what's wrong, how can we solve it? And then the women kind of, they want to do what they call is the Meadow report. And they want to kind of have everything aligned. And I guess, for every person, man or woman, nothing is ever planned. Things actually do end up just happening. And if you were to go back in time when you were going, to go to physician assistant school, I would, I'm not going to put words in your mouth, but if someone was to say to you, hey, Rob, about 10 years down the road, you and your wife are going to have a multiple seven-figure a year residually network marketing business, and you're not going to be a physician assistant anymore. I mean, you would have told that person they were crazy. And
yes, I would.
I could say the same thing about myself because, I spent 18 years as a gym owner, personal trainer, and sports nutritionist, and then started growing a very successful network marketing business. And then, like you said, wrote the book on how to use LinkedIn to grow a network marketing business. And if someone was to said to me, it was funny, we're in the process, my fiance and I were in the process of moving, and I was cleaning out some of my old stuff, and I found one of my old personal training books from 2003. And I was looking at how many sessions I was doing back then, and this is 16 years ago. And if someone would have said to me, hey, listen, you're gonna close all your gyms, you're gonna retire from personal training, and you're actually gonna write a book on LinkedIn and how to use it for network marketing, I would have said, what the hell are you talking about? And what I've learned about life is that life will always throw things at you. Life will always challenge you. So let's stop there for a second. With all the good that has happened, and someone might say, Rob, what do you have to complain about? You guys are making ridiculous residual income. You live on a beautiful, beautiful, lots of land in Montana, far as the eye can see. You spend so much time with your kids. What could actually be going wrong? So what is one of the biggest challenges personally that you have had to face in your network marketing journey?
Well, you make it sound pretty good. Yeah. But there were challenges, obviously. I think going from a field where you're highly respected and generally regarded as an expert to going to a new job where you're basically starting over at the very beginning. I think there's beauty in the fact that in network marketing, someone can be very successful without having an advanced degree, without having any significant experience. But at the same time, that was a big adjustment for me. And going to this point where all of a sudden I'm a total beginner. I didn't know what I was doing. I wasn't comfortable being up in front of people like I am now. I wasn't comfortable in the limelight. I really generally avoided it for probably the first 2 years of business. I would begrudgingly get on and help my wife with calls, with videos and things like that. It just basically felt like I was in a completely different environment than I was supposed to be in a lot of ways. And I realize now, looking back, that, that is invaluable experience. Those things, and we always throw around the saying that when you're uncomfortable, that's where the growth happens, right? But it's so true. All these things that used to scare me, they would terrify me. Now I have, total confidence in them. And when something like this does come up and it does scare me, I look at it as a challenge, and I know that I'm going to be stronger for attacking it.
Yeah, and Les, I'm a quoter in the sense that there are certain things, and I'm going to ask you this after I'm done sharing this. There's certain things that you read or listen to in the early stages of your entrepreneurial career that just stick with you. Mm-hmm. And there's two that stuck with me from the very get-go. One was from The Strangest Secret by Earl Nightingale. Mm-hmm. And he stated in that book, and I suggest everyone to read it, listen to it. And he said, what you think about most often is what you become. And why this was so important for me to hear is because so often I was focusing on the wrong things in my daily habits. I was negative self-talk and, poor self-confidence and whatever it was. And when I shifted that, my life started to shift. But Les Brown said something else. He said, if you want to take the easy road, you're going to end up living a hard life. But if you choose the hard road, you're going to live an easy life. Right. And it's so true, because everyone looks at network marketing and they're like, oh, I understand the comp plan and I just got to talk to people about this, but they don't realize. And I would love to eventually interview you and your wife together, because, I believe in power couples. I believe, and we talked about it earlier today, and I told you, I said, Rob, an army of two is twice as strong than an army of one. And
Absolutely.
so before we move into the LinkedIn part, number one, what was the first book that you remember reading in your journey that really lit that spark where you're like, you know what? I like this personal development thing. I know there's more to me than this. And number two, what advice can you give a network marketer that's building and their spouse isn't as supportive as they want them to be? It's one of those resistance conversations, and there's tension there. It's something that's constantly repeated. So number one, first book that you remember reading that really started to shift your mindset. And number two, what advice would you give that network marketer that's having a struggle with the spouse not having the full 100% support?
Yeah, so boy, the book thing is hard. I have, as you can see right here, a ton of books.
Yes, you do.
On the bookshelf behind me. I'm at least 1.5 rows is personal development books, and I'm constantly looking for new ones. But I would say authors like Bob Proctor. He had a big book. The Art of Living was a good book. He's even better in person, and I listened to some podcasts with him, and they're just really mind blowing. Earl Nightingale, The Secret's a great book. Everybody turns to that, and I think that it's universally regarded as a good book because it's kind of going to what you're talking about. Those things that you focus on and think about, those are what will end up coming to the forefront, whether it's business transactions, whether it's something you just randomly see on the street. You can really manifest things. And I didn't used to believe that. I thought it was a bunch of unicorns and rainbows. But it's really true. I've seen it so many times now that I can't deny it anymore. So those would be, just a few, but I can post things later on in the Facebook and give a list of books that I like.
Awesome. That'd be great.
The answer to your second question, it really is true that a spouse can make or break someone's experience. And I can't even tell you how many people I've had who were either just starting out and they had a spouse who was unsupportive. And so they just essentially fell apart. They lost their will. Their spouse thought whatever was BS. They thought network marketing was a pyramid scheme. But I've even had people who were, both my wife and I on our teams have had people who had earned, six figures, maybe multiple six figures, who had an unsupportive spouse who eventually just washed out. And we've never been able to understand that, and it's not been our experience, and maybe that's why it seems so foreign to us. But probably one of the best pieces of advice I would give to that person who maybe has a doubtful spouse, a doubting spouse, is to try to find mentorship upline from you, a couple specifically who is involved in your company, who's doing well, and get that couple on the phone with you and your significant other, because that a couple, one of the two of them is going to have a story similar to mine with my wife, Elise, or similar to lots of other people who have had either taken time or been unsupported from the start, possibly. But I can tell you that, like you said, a team of two is, 10 times as strong as a team of one, an individual. And in my wife and my own personal case, our personal case, we're very different people. We have very different backgrounds, very different skill sets. We are basically like, she's at the front of the alphabet, she's the A, I'm the Z. And the beauty is that we bring in these strengths that bring in the middle letters, and we support each other. She definitely is a creative thinker. She helps me think outside the box, look at the world very much differently than I grew up doing and that I was comfortable doing. And I'm a sort of a type A. Maybe I should have been the A in this example, but definitely more organized and driven and goal oriented. And I just like to put my head down and plow through things. And that's definitely helped her as well. And so the two of us as a team, we are unstoppable. We can really do anything because we bring two different sets of strengths where a single person would only have one. And I really do strongly believe that that is what has led to our success in network marketing.
Yeah, it's one of those things where if you kick the leg out from someone, they're going to topple over. And the fact is that, you have two strong legs and supporting each other. And that's so important. So, the one thing that I admire about you the most is when no one, even in our mastermind, no one knew how successful the business you guys built. And you're very down to earth. You're very relatable, easy to talk to. And when we were sitting there, you shared with me the success that you and your wife were having, and yet you still wanted to know more. You're at obviously one of the top positions in your company, in the industry. And yet you said, you know what, Scott, my team's doing good, but I want to do better. I want to help more people. And you had always wondered about LinkedIn. So before we get into what we've been going over, what was it about the mystique of LinkedIn that when we spoke, you're like, you know what, this is the next place where I need to go. I need to find a way to connect with that mirror image of the old Rob, the physician assistant Rob that's still in that daily grind, that is looking for a way out. So what was it about that mystique, and what had you so open to learning this with me?
Well, so honestly, I hadn't looked at it in the way you just described until that conversation with you. And so I have to credit you with that. That was your original idea.
Thank you.
Basically, I was looking at it as a sort of an untapped resource for me. Just assuming that I would make some connections. Maybe, it's a numbers game, obviously, in network marketing. Maybe someone I connect with is interested and I can help them out. But you were the one who really sort of clarified it and made me have an aha moment personally. And that was when you said that, LinkedIn is a platform of business professionals, of people who, they're looking to network professionally. They're looking for opportunities. They're looking for, additional income streams. They're looking for just other options, other ideas, and they're open to them. And that's why specifically they're on there. They're not on there to watch cat videos, right? This is something that's a little more professionally biased. And along with that, I think I'm happy to talk to anybody at any point in time about what we do, about our products, about how I can improve someone's health. But a lot of those conversations don't end up going anywhere. And it could be a financial thing. It can be a motivation thing. So I really saw, once you sort of put the vision in front of me, that LinkedIn could be a tool to get in front of people who were outwardly more successful, who had bigger goals, who wanted more out of life. And so that was where I really saw the opportunity come alive.
And that was the one thing, is that, I always share this line that my mom still always tells me and told me that facts are friendly. And when I started, and this is when I actually saw your eyes light up, when I started to break down, the average age, the average income, the amount of connections that you can have on LinkedIn compared to Facebook, you're like, I never knew that, because, not many people know, and I love facts. So I love knowing everything about the platforms, and, and just to educate the people that are on here right now that may not know who I am. The fact is that the average age of someone on Facebook and Instagram is 18 to 29 with a yearly income of $30,000 a year. So, Rob, it makes sense that there's a lot of money issues there, and their money mindset isn't where it needs to be. And you're only allowed 5,000 friends on Facebook. And people may hear that and they're like, but I'm allowed 5,000 friends on Facebook. But it's not about that. It's the quality of the type of people in your network. Not saying there's not quality people on Facebook, but you can't grow a network marketing legacy with only 5,000 connections, because most people aren't going to say yes. They're going to say no. And when I shared with you that the average age of someone on LinkedIn is 35 to 55 with an annual income of $100,000 a year, that's when your eyes lit up, because you're like, that's the type of person that I need to talk to. But more so, you're allowed 30,000 global connections, 6 times larger than Facebook. So when I went over this with you, and you're like, listen, I'm going to Hawaii right after this weekend, but we need to talk when I get back. And we're only in the midst of doing things. We're not even nearly finished what we're going to be doing together. But just share with the audience on here right now just a little bit of the, basic takeaways, because we're starting to dive in right now. We're starting to get some traction. But what are some of the big takeaways that you've seen already since we've kind of been diving into LinkedIn and reshaping it for you?
Well, I think, just starting with the most basic things like building my profile. I look at my profile now compared to the screenshots I took when I started, and it's unrecognizably different. I realized at what a basic level I was playing And why would someone want to connect with me? You know, I was sort of still, I was there, so to speak, but I wasn't really there, if you know what I mean. I didn't really have a presence. I had a membership, that was it. So just building up my personal profile. And honestly, I think it's a great exercise, because as I was doing that and as I was filling in all these different fields, you know, my experience, my volunteer time, my education, my background, all this stuff, it sort of really reminds you, oh yeah, I'm pretty badass. And you start to look at all these accomplishments you've had and realize, you know, how much you really do have to offer to people.
Yeah.
And then, you know, just once that initial step was done, I felt so much more confident in reaching out and making those types of connections. And I've had some really great messaging sessions with people, and developed a lot of new connections. And just, you know, I mean, whether or not something comes out of it, I feel like I've made some new friends, but definitely people who are introduced to what I do, and I've been introduced to what they do. And I feel like there's a lot of opportunity for mutual aid there. But yeah, I mean, as you said, I'm still in the very sort of infancy of this whole thing. And I'm already starting to see, like you're talking about, just the different sort of subgroups you can get into. So searching for a group and then being able to narrow it down.
Yeah.
It's really interesting, because you can sort of personalize your experience, I feel like, a lot more than you can on Instagram or Facebook, in terms of the types of people you're trying to connect with and, you know, run with.
And that's why I love what you're doing, because again, you know, there's a lot of people that I mean, if they're not admiring you and what you're doing at this point, then I don't know what's going to make them. Because the fact is, you know, what I love about you and your wife is that you're not settling. You're always looking to bless more lives and to move forward. So just talk to the people that maybe are in the building process. You know, not so much expansion like you guys are looking to do right now, because you're looking to take this thing global, which I'm going to show you how to do, which you can on LinkedIn, which is the only platform to do it. For that beginning person that's just starting out, that is used to doing what everyone else is doing. They're used to posting and praying, scrolling and trolling on Facebook and Instagram. How beneficial has it been for you? And how beneficial do you feel it could be for that network marketer that's looking for more conversations, more quality conversations, and more enrollments in their business?
Well, yeah, it sort of goes back to the idea of beating your head against the wall. You know, you can do the same thing and you're going to get the same results. You really need to change something up. I'm a big fan of strategy personally. I like to have a course that I'm following. If you don't have a course laid out in front of you, then how can you correct your course? How can you move towards, you know, the right side of the ship when you need to, when things are working, and how can you move away from the wrong side of the ship, obviously, when things are not working. So, I mean, for me, I feel like, you know, there's lots of resources available. You can maybe get online, you can watch some videos, or you can read a book. I mean, you've got a great book, but I just personally, I mean, there's a lot of different learning styles. I benefit the most from sort of this multifaceted approach where I'm having conversations, I'm seeing things demonstrated that I can learn in a quarter of the time, as you know, and have better results, more effective results than if I try to do it on my own. So, I mean, that's really, I think, been one of the biggest things, is just once I decided that LinkedIn was something I wanted to focus my intentions on, I realized that I had to come up with a game plan and find someone who could help me and who was successful and had the background and had the you know, the skills and the knowledge that I was looking for, and that's how I came to you.
And it's cutting out all the BS. And you know, I tell people all the time that I'm at the point in my life where I'm not going to try to figure something out. If I want to know about it, I'm going to go hire someone to teach me so I know what I'm doing. And that's why I feel a lot of people end up struggling in network marketing, because they recognize that there's something that's off. They recognize that they want to change something, yet they don't take that next step. And I'm going to go back to what you said about the right side of the ship. You know, the way that I talk about coaching, it's like a GPS. Now, you can get into a car and you need to go to New York. And if you have no clue how to get there, but you know it's north, you're going to navigate around and eventually you may get to New York, but it may take you years and years and years. And by the time you get there, you might not even want to be there anymore, right?
So true. Yeah.
But if you have a GPS, you get in your car and you type in the address, boom, you see that you need to go here to get to here to get to New York City in a streamlined and effective way to get the results. So,
yeah. And when you get there, you have time for all the attractions, all the things that brought you there in the first place.
And you can enjoy yourself. And that's the thing. People spend so much time building their network marketing in pain and resistance. And it can be fun if you choose to make it fun, because honestly, you know, like Nancy and I literally, I mean, if you saw our place, I mean, it's a complete shit show right now. There's stuff everywhere. Like we've been going back and forth moving, and, you know, I'm hopping on a call, and then after this, we're going back to moving. I was doing call, like, but this is the life of an entrepreneur. And I, you know, my son had a 2-hour delay today, which we talked about earlier. So I had to juggle things around this morning, but you know what, Rob, I would not trade it in for anything. This is I call it the ideal life, because you can create your life every single day. And that is possible in network marketing if you choose to go all in. And you know what? You know, more people are going to disapprove of what you're doing and how you're doing it than those that are going to approve. But just like we said, what you focus on is what you become. You focus on those that approve of what you're doing, not the ones that don't. Because if you focus on the ones that approve, that's your tribe, and that's what's going to take you to the top. So Rob, so finally, like 2 last questions. Number one, for someone that has never heard of LinkedIn, or they know it's out there, and they don't know how to use it, how highly important is it for that network marketer that is serious? They're a 10 out of 10. They want to grow a residual income business. How important is it for them to have multifaceted expertises on social media, using Facebook and Instagram for what they're used for, which is showing your life, and then using something like LinkedIn to have business prospecting conversations? How is it important for that person?
Well, I feel like it's hard to even overstate how important it is. And also, I think it's worth pointing out that this is not easy. I mean, this is a new platform. You might think, oh, it's just, you post some things on there, you know, and you're going to get some likes, but it's not. This is a totally different animal. And so once I started looking at LinkedIn and thinking about trying to build, you know, my network on there and build up my profile, I realized very quickly that I was clueless. I didn't have any idea of where to start, what a good profile should look like. And so, I mean, I think that's a big part of it. You know, again, as we talked about, having a guide, having someone who can mentor you, who can show you the way, so to speak. I mean, it's just, you know, you can save so much time and ultimately money. Even if you have to pay for, you know, a coach or someone to help you, you're going to end up saving a lot of money.
I mean, but not even that,
making a lot more money.
The return on the investment. I mean, you cannot quantify the value of investing in yourself and what it can return you. I mean, you cannot put a number on it, because listen, Rob, we get one life. Why not make it the best and most amazing life ever?
100%. And I want to say something real quick. So, you know, you're talking about entrepreneurism and how flexible and free it is. And, you know, you can roll with the punches of, you know, a kid having a different schedule or whatever. So my wife has had some stomach issues recently. We went to the hospital today. She got an MRI. This is already on social media from her, so I'm not sharing any secrets.
Well wishes to your wife.
Everything's good. Everything's good. Thank you. But, you know, we had to get up super early this morning. We were at the hospital by about 6:30. We, you know, had to basically sit there. It's 25 below this morning. And we were just.
And you still made it to our 9:30 session.
Yeah, I did. And we were just saying, you know, like, gosh, once you get a taste of it for entrepreneurism, it's really hard to go back. No longer do I have to wake up to an alarm. No longer am I getting called in the middle of the night. No longer am I at this sterile hospital where, you know, frankly, when I was there, I didn't miss it. I almost had a little bit of anxiety just knowing that, like, this is where I used to work. And this is where I just haunted this hospital. This very same one, in fact, that we were at today, I worked at for several years.
Wow.
So it was just a really kind of a profound experience, realizing how far we've come. You know, and like you said, we have big goals. We've gotten nowhere even close to what we really want to accomplish in life. And so this is, I'm looking at LinkedIn as another opportunity to help us to continue to build our our network, to build our businesses, and to just live this amazing life.
I love it. So final question, and I love asking this because there's no wrong answer, but I love hearing how people respond to this. So Rob, if someone was to ask you, what does success mean to you? How would you respond to that question? I know this is a deep one, Rob. It's a deep one.
I love it. I love it. I want to give an example. So, I used to think success was this job. It was this carrot that you worked for and you achieved. And so, I guess in the past I would have defined success as having gone through this process, all these trials and tribulations in medicine, gotten the job in medicine that was, my goal. So, right, I achieved my goal. I was successful. Again, when I walked away from that, everything I had considered about being successful and my own personal success was turned upside down. And I was able to reframe it though, and, look at it from the perspective of really ultimately success. As you said, you only get one life. It's not that long, really. Success for me is spending time with my family. It's about relationships. It's about freedom. Honestly, regardless of the amount of money that we make, the ability to work from home, be around my family, travel when I want to, be able to make our own schedule. This is probably the very best way I could define success. It's living life on our own terms.
I love that. It's a great definition. And again, people always quantify and describe success as money. And the money is just a side effect of the impact that you have and the amount of lives that you touch. And again, life is about doing what you want to do now. I don't think any of us ever want to wait till retirement to finally start living. We want to experience those things now. And, I want my son at 6 years old to see and do things that I'm still dreaming about doing. I want him to experience things that I want to do now when he's 6, 7, and 8 years old. And that's the path that we're on together. And, and Rob, I just wanted to, thank you so much for sharing your heart and just sharing yourself. And one of the greatest strengths that any one person can possess is their vulnerability and their realness, because you can't fake any of that. And that's what really draws people into other people. So I know we had some, and it's so funny because the theme of my day today has been curveballs. And I don't know if do you remember Major League, the movie Major League?
Oh yeah. Yep.
So, this morning there was a curveball thrown with this 2-hour delay, and I was sitting and after we got him off to school and everything, before that, actually, Nancy and I were at the gym, and I'm like, man, this reminds me of Major League and Pedro Serrano. And she goes, Pedro who? I'm like, Pedro Serrano, he was praying to Joe Boo the entire movie, and at the end of the movie,
the Allstate commercials.
Yeah, exactly. And he said, Joe Boo, if you can't help me now, I say, F you, Joe Boo, I'm going to do it myself. And he gets up there and he hits a curveball because he hasn't been able to hit a curveball all season long. And I just feel like, when life throws you curveballs, you have to learn how to hit every pitch, no matter what happens. And, we had a curveball thrown. Our audio was off during our Facebook Live, so we set up a quick Zoom. I figured out how to stream it to Facebook Live, and here we are. So everything—
You hit it out of the park, Scott. I definitely commend you for being able to switch gears, because that's a skill. Not everybody has it. I probably would have been flustered and cursing, and I would have just bagged the whole thing, but you brought it all back together. Nice job.
I appreciate that. Listen, you have to adapt and change. And that's the one thing, is that, you have to just roll with the punches. I wasn't going to, we were either going to have to reschedule it, or I was going to try to figure it out this way, which I did. And, everything happens on purpose and for a reason. And I know so many people got so much valuable information from tonight's interview. So Rob, any last parting words that you want to leave the audience before we leave tonight?
Oh boy. I guess, my wife and I are an example of what can happen if you really commit to a goal. You're the same way. Surround yourself with people like that. Find mentors, find people who bring you up and who believe in your goals and who are willing to uplift and inspire you. Not to say you have to cut everybody else out of your life, but that's one thing that we did several years ago. We just really decided to focus on the people who were loving on us and who believe in the dream as much as we did. And that's frankly been one of the very biggest things in terms of quality of life, increasing the quality of life that we have, is just surrounding ourselves with really uplifting, inspiring, positive people.
I love it. And people that are on Facebook, obviously streaming and watching on the replay, I highly suggest you follow Rob and his wife and the amazing life that they're creating for their two amazing kids and themselves. So Rob, thank you so much again for adapting and changing with me and just making yourself available for tonight's
Absolutely.
interview. And looking forward to all of the things that you and I are going to do together. And obviously the brainstorming session that we had today of something that I'm going to assist you in creating and the niche that I really feel that you can make a difference in outside of what you're doing right now. So thanks again, brother, for taking your time. Just grateful for you and our friendship and
Absolutely,
just
me
want
too.
you and your wife continued success and obviously healing thoughts to her and looking forward to connecting with you again soon.
Yeah, very much so. Thanks for your time, and really appreciate your mentorship. Thank you.
Anytime, Rob. I'll talk to you soon, bud.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.